What's up, y'all? Advance here, and this is probably the hardest video that I've ever had to make. Meg the Stallion, I need you to come to the front of the congregation, please. Actually, no, let me not do that, because that's Charlamagne's thing. Oh, man, this whole Meg the Stallion situation is ridiculous. Flat out ridiculous. And what's crazy is it wasn't needed. It didn't need to happen. So let me do a recap of what happened. So a couple years back, like a little bit after COVID, during the whole help me out here, after the George Floyd thing, Black Lives Matter, and Cardi and Cardi dropping the best song, in my opinion, in 2020. Song, video, lyricism, everything. Call me a simp, I don't give a fuck. It was very good imagery. And it provided a much needed distraction from the pandemic. So yeah, in any case, with that aside, the whole situation with her and Tory Lanez is just ridiculous. So what happened, they was leaving a party at Kylie Jenner's house. First of all, why? Because you know what Kardashians do to black people. And maybe they might be innocent. All right, let me stop. All right, so basically, you know, like, there's always some bullshit surrounding them. So they was leaving the party. An altercation happened. Meg gets out of the car and she gets shot in her foot. Now, at the time, the general consensus was that Tory Lanez shot Meg. Right? So they said, all right, Tory shot Meg. Now, this came when Meg went on Instagram Live and actually said and confirmed. She said, and I quote, "You shot me. You shot me." Right? So, that was that. Now, then after the fact, I think maybe like 2 or 3 days later, Tory came out with a version of his side of the story. So he said that he basically did a 35-minute live, which in my opinion at the time didn't really talk about anything. He just, and he was limited in what he could talk about because it was an ongoing investigation. So one of the things that he did say in that live was that Rock Nation actually, you know, tried to muscle him into not making a statement to the police. You know, they said it would be in your best interest not to make that statement. You know, so I was just like, all right, well, damn, like, all right, that's pretty damning, you know. So now Tory Lanez's statement would have possibly cleared him, you know, from any wrongdoing. So furthermore, as the details of this case unravel, Meg's there's like photos of Meg's feet were released. Don't go search it. It's not that kind of photos. Basically, it was the photos of her coming out of the emergency room, right, or intensive care, or whatever. So they were saying that what was actually removed from her feet, I don't know if this is exactly what the medical report said, but the consensus then shifted to say, like, all right, well, Meg had glass in her foot. Well, she stepped on some glass. And yeah, so, and they said, all right, the fragments that was removed from her foot along with the wound on her foot itself was inconsistent of what a bullet wound would look like. You know, so yeah. Now, depending on what type of gun it was, it was, sometimes the wounds are big, sometimes the wounds are small. So, yeah. So, in any case, going forward, then they started talking about, he was basically saying like, yeah, like he's bringing all of this evidence to everybody, and he's urging everyone to, just look at the evidence and look at the facts. And, then he was saying like, everybody is saying that I don't protect black women and this, that, and now my initial, when this first came out, I was pretty much ready to write Tory Lanez off, because to me at this point, he had too many infractions against him. Like, first he said that he was the beef between him and Jordan was really good. That was a pretty back and forth that they had, and they squashed that. But he had the instance where he said he was still he continued to work with 6ix9ine after he got out of jail, despite all of his shenanigans, and yeah, that's more topics for a whole nother video. But yeah, so he said he was still working with 6ix9ine despite his shenanigans and him also, being a snitch, so he said he was still working, produce music with him. Second, he sicked the goons on my man Dax, for writing a diss record on him, after issuing an open challenge to anyone who felt that they could diss him. And Dax said, all right, let's do it. But then when he did that, he said, all right, well, now's not really a good time or whatever. So Dax said, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. Now, later they came out and said that, the reason why Tory sicked the goons on him is because because Dax like screenshot a conversation between the two of them and he put it up, and Tory didn't want it out there, or whatever the case. In any case, it was some bitch ass shit. But yeah, so then he said, so then he came out. Then this situation came out. Oh no, so after Tory sicked the goons on Dax, he went live on Instagram and made him apologize. Come on, my nigga. So when this came out, I was like, oh, that's it. I had already thought that, because all the information that we had was that they was arguing. She got out the car. She said she was done with the situation. She got out the car, and Tory said, dance, bitch, and shot her in the foot. So, shot her in both feet. So, first off, the one question that I had for this whole situation was, why the fuck did y'all discharge a firearm and then wait for the police to show up? Like, that's... No. Come on now. I'm not even going to say that's criminal 101. That's black 101. Like, people start shooting. You don't hang around. But I'm going to get into that later. So, going forward, they go coming back and forth, going back and forth. All right, and then so the police show up, arrest them or whatever. What I initially thought, because I'm like, damn, arguing, and if you listen to Meg's music, she's real loose with her mouth, and she's very open about. Now, this might be an act, but I'm just saying, just using the music as evidence, she's very open about how she treats her dudes. So, like, yeah, she's very, like, domineering, dominating, so to speak. And, yeah, like, so I'm like, all right, and she's also really tall. And Tory Lanez is short. So, I'm like, hey, like, he probably got mad at something that she said or whatever the case. Which, if you're dating Megan Thee Stallion, chances are you listen to Megan Thee Stallion's music. You know what you're signing up for. Like, I'm sorry, dude, but yeah. So, I was ready to write him off immediately, because I was like, yeah, like, if that did happen, that's that's a man operating in his feminine energy. And that's some bitch ass shit. And I think even who was that down in Houston that said that? Because it was somebody that was from Houston. Because everybody got drawn into this. They, the dude was like, Tory Lanez, that's some hoe ass shit. Or I don't know. I'm gonna think about it and then I'll probably put it in the description or whatever. But yeah, so it was it was a real big spectacle, and everybody was on Meg's side because vagina aside, booty aside, physical imagery aside, Meg is a good artist. She got bars. Like, if you ever listen to like her cadence and how she breaks things down and everything, like, yeah, it's she got some bars. But then it's like when the allegations started coming out and then the story started unraveling, it just started to not make sense. And it's like now, my position is I'm disappointed in Meg because one, which is actually like the most prevalent, is that now they're going to a trial and now all of this stuff is public record. She took the stand and maintained her story. Her homegirl took the stand and basically unraveled the whole fucking tapestry. So she's pretty much saying that, all right, Tory didn't shoot her. She lied to the police. She testified that she lied to the police. They already got the one cop on the stand that admitted that he didn't gather evidence properly. And yeah, so yeah, it's just a big mess that didn't need to happen. And then on top of that, you got the whole thing with with Meg and her record label. Like, she done stiffed them for some money allegedly, and yeah, she got this thing going on with them, and and then they said and then like now in trial in court, you have all of this information coming out with her and the homegirl really being mad because or it was really the homegirl, it was alleged that the homegirl shot her, and that was over an argument that both of them had because somehow seeing Tory in the pool with Kylie Jenner or whatever the case, then the argument somehow shifted to Megan and her homegirl Kelsey dealing with a lot of the same men, after Meg put them on. So that's like if you put your best friend on a dude, then turn right around and try to fuck that same dude. Like, yeah, it was a lot of that shit going on. And so like that was so that was like also a stigma. That was the main thing that came about, where everybody's talking about, oh well, Meg's sexual history or whatever the case. And yeah, it's really sad because none of this needed to happen. And that's why I'm disappointed because one, you shouldn't have let it get this far. The lie should not have gotten this far. Once the story started to fall apart, instead of trying your best to hold it together or whatever the case, you should have just came out and said, you know what, all right, this is what happened. And nobody would have. Now, people would have been mad. They would have been mad. They would have been pissed off in the moment. But by now, we would have been past it. We would have been past it. Because think about it. This was 2 years ago when this happened. Or a year and a half ago. They would have been mad about it. She would have probably went through hell for like maybe 2 to 3 months. But at that point, she would have did what celebrities do. They disappear. She would have came back, dropped a few hits, and we would have forgot all about this situation. But now what happened was when it came back up, we was like, oh shit, this thing. Yeah. So yeah. And that's the first thing, because the lie didn't have to go this far. The second thing is also dealing with the lie going this far. You don't have to go this far to prove that Tory Lanez is lame. He's a clown or whatever the fuck. Because just based off of the infractions that I listed before this situation. I mean, come on, you engage in a rap battle with somebody and you sick the goons on him because you don't like what he said? Come on now. But yeah, like the way that I look at it now is like, all right, well shit. Fuck Tory Lanez. That was pretty much where I was at, because I don't rock with his shit anyway. But yeah, fuck Megan Thee Stallion for like making me side with this nigga. Like, like, oh my God, yo. If you watch this channel, you know, like, I hate agreeing with people that I hate or that I don't like. And you know what? Like, you said this whole facade initially withholding the information, because she said she ain't talked to the police when they arrested her. The whole facade was to keep a black man out of jail. And now you're willingly sending a black man to jail, or trying to pin a false gun charge on him. That's some foul shit. Like, oh my God, I'm thoroughly disappointed with Meg. And you know, it's like the disappointment that you would feel like if you found out like your sister stole something. You know, like, yeah. Well, I don't know. I really don't know how to look at that. But like, if like somebody you know, or a really close friend of yours like did something and like really let you down, you know, like that's crazy. But yeah, in any case, let me just wrap this up. That I just wanted to come in and talk about it. Like, that's not cool at all. Not cool at all. But I still love Meg. You know, like, I love like her music and stuff, because like I said, she's a really talented artist. She got bars, you know. But this situation don't sit right with me, no, because it didn't need to go this far. In any case, post your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Should it have gone this far? Is Meg in the right? Is she in the wrong? Let me know. We can chop it up. My name's Advance. I'm out.